Chloe, why did you miss class? I thought I went to class. I dreamed that I woke up at 7:30.
Hi, I'm Coco.
I'm Chloe.
And I'm Genivee.
Over the past few months, we read different articles discussing about human minds, brains, and how we differ from machines. And one topic really caught our attention. Memories.
So just 5 minutes ago, Chloe had this dream, but she can't really tell what happened in her dream from what happened in reality. Does she remember accurately her experiences?
No.
So what makes a true memory?
To find the answer, we delved into our 3 reading materials and explored thought experiments, science fiction stories, and debates on whether our brain is a computer. We went around and talked with different people about what they thought about true memories. So we talked with teachers, including Lei, Max, and Christopher, and we also talked with different students like Chen and April.
We reached a really interesting conclusion. We can't wait for you to hear this and enjoy the rest of the video.
Pause. Before we explore what makes memory true, we need to ask a more basic question. What is memory in the first place? At its core, memory is the mental capacity to store, retain, and recall information. It's what allows us to learn, to recognize, and to have a sense of self that stretches beyond the present moment. In philosophy, memory isn't just about facts and dates. It's deeply tied to personal identity. John Locke, a 17th century philosopher, argued that memory is the foundation of the self. According to Locke, if you can remember an experience, then you are the same person who had that experience. But that brings up another question. Can memories be true without experiences?
I mean, yeah, so if you have not experienced it itself, it cannot be considered as a true memory. However, you have not experienced it, but it was reintroduced. In a way, it can still be partially true. I don't think it is the exact same as when it comes to an own lived experience because, well, on a philosophical scope, because you have not actually embodied the experience was injected, there was no subjectivity in a sense.
So if memories without experience lack subjectivity, and thus cannot be called true memories, what about machines? Do machines experience and do machines have true memory?
I think a memory is unique to humans because I think when you are trying to share your memory from the past, you feel strongly emotionally attached to that moment. They can store huge amount of information, but that doesn't make it into a narrative automatically.
In the case of a story called Venetian Memories, Jane is given Paul's memory of going to Venice, although she is aware she never went to Italy, not alone Venice. In this case, she never had the actual experience of going to Venice. However, the remembrance she was artificially given stimulates her to imagine her experience, causing her to quasi-remember. And quasi-remember means recalling an event as if one has experienced it, but in fact not.
So, can implanted memories be true?
It depends on the information the memory is giving you. So if you had an implanted memory that gave you a specific emotional resonance with a person or with a experience or something like that, I think that would be false. But if the scientifically implanting factual information, I didn't need to study for my math exam, I couldn't say that that's a false memory other than all the associated things that go along with a memory. Memory is not just information, it's also a complex web.
In the science fiction story, An Oral History of Work in the Age of Machine-Assisted Cognition, brain boosters are neural implants that enhance cognition by offloading memory and processing to external systems. They change the way people work, especially in knowledge-heavy fields, by making information instantly available. But the story isn't just about increased brain power. It raises deeper questions, especially about memory. When we rely on machines to store what we know, what happens to our understanding of learning, or even our sense of identity?
True, not true.
It's true!
Yes.
We talked so much about whether memory can be true or not. But why are we even talking about memory? Because memory is such a crucial part of our identity. So how about let's switch into another topic. If you lost all your memory, will you still be you?
In my opinion, I don't think memories are everything because there's still the fundamental core part of yourself that kind of does the processing, or I guess you could call the rational bit. You would definitely change if you lost all your memories, but fundamentally you would still be able to maintain that core part of who you are.
I believe that identity is a very strong, like this parcel of your past and also your present and also what can be the future. You have to see everything as a whole and you cannot use snippets, which also includes situations like this hypothetical sense of if you lose all your memories. That essentially means you lose all your snippets. Like even though identity is shifting and identity is temporal, but losing them all is very different to updating your information.
At this point, you already heard a lot about the branches about true memories. For example, experiences, personal identity, and even machines' memories. Now, maybe we can draw some conclusions to our final core question. What makes a true memory?
In the article, Your Brain is Not a Computer, the author Robert Epstein views that unlike computers, memories are not stored as data or information in humans' brains. In his demonstration, the comparison between the drawing in the absence of a dollar bill and the one made from an exemplar indicates that there isn't an image of the dollar bill stored in people's minds. Rather, it's because specifically her brain was changed in a way that allowed her to visualize a dollar bill. That is, to re-experience seeing a dollar bill, at least to some extent. Therefore, the author argues that when people have experiences, their brain is changed in some physical way that allows them to experience or visualize something they've encountered before, without retrieving a stored copy. Hence, back to the question, what makes a true memory? It can be inferred that true memories stem from the partial reconstruction of human brains to try to relive certain experiences, though not necessarily with the same details as the original one.
Well, it correlated to a real physical event in the world in which that took place. That's a memory on one level. But then again, like even that same event, people can have different takeaways. I mean, they might have experienced it from different perspectives. They might have had a different emotional reaction within that interaction. And those things can both be true. Memory is intensely subjective, represents our subjective knowledge and our subjective experience. Yeah.
That was brilliant. Christopher thinks that memories can be true if it's factual and has some internal interactions. Maybe that's our conclusion. No. Let's see what Max thinks.
So we don't record things accurately, we record things narratively. And to form a narrative, to tell a story, there's always a break from truth. So I don't believe there is such a thing as a true memory in the sense of objectively recording reality.